Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth, alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hi, Andy.
So you may have noticed it's a very special day here at Second Breakfast. We're both wearing hats. It's
Yes.
Hat Day. I You wouldn't think that someone with short hair, such as myself, would have hat hair, but something happened, and it's like I stuck a pudding to my head. It's terrible, and also the boot is in the dishwasher, so I
That's
needed
right. I have
something
a mason jar. I have a mason jar
nice.
filled with water, and then you and I both have hats. I'm wearing mine out of solidarity. I want to say
Yes.
something about this. The other day, I was listening to our Christmas mailbag while in the car with my wife because I'm a vain person, and the whole first 5 minutes of that mailbag is you and I talking about the whiteboard behind you. Man, listening to that was the most boring thing I have ever listened to. So that's not true because again, I'm so vain that it doesn't. I actually like hearing it, but I was sitting there imagining people who were like, it wasn't. It was purely visual humor that someone was listening to. So if you're listening at home, we're wearing hats. It's not that exciting. Both of us are acting like it's a big deal because we've never worn them on the show before. But I don't think it'll affect your listening to the show.
It shouldn't. If it affects the
So
acoustics, please write in and let us know.
right,
Today, it's not just
mailbag baby.
it's not just Hat Day, it's Mailbag Day.
It is
Very
mailbag day.
excited.
I'm so excited.
These are excellent questions as per usual. Our listeners and viewers are either knocking it out of the park. These are three awesome questions. We had so many we couldn't do them all in one mailbag. So you know what? Chances are next week's gonna rule also, right?
You know what? You know what, Andy? Someone once asked me, "What happens when you run out of questions?" We may never find out.
We're never going to. We're never going to.
People just keep rolling.
Indeed.
That's like asking like, what if South Park runs out of material? You know, it's like what if modern society stops being ridiculous?
Right, right.
Right?
Uh-oh, danger.
Right. I don't think we're worried about that, Will Robinson. Okay, so
Indeed.
let's do this. Let's do this, baby.
All right. First question from frequent contributor and gauntlet torturer Keith. It's okay. It's okay. Nothing will ever be as bad as
I
that
know.
last.
He's not my friend, so don't worry about it. He's your friend.
It's true. Inspired by the news that the Casablanca piano is going up for auction and could fetch
Yes.
$1 million, which is
Yes.
both terribly exciting and terribly disappointing because I would learn to play the piano just if I owned that thing. What original movie object, prop, set dressing, set piece, costume accessory, etc., would you most like to own?
Great, fantastic
I,
question.
I love this question. Do you want
I
to go first? Or
have
you want
I
me to
have
go
a
first?
well, I have a particular answer,
Okay.
an abstract answer, and then a popular answer.
I'm so excited.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
Uh, I have a couple as well. So let me
Okay.
say the first one.
Okay.
The first one, I mean, we made this. I'd be actually pretty surprised if this isn't on your list. The One Ring, you know.
Ah.
I
Ah.
mean, maybe, I know that there are some people who like get it as their wedding ring, and I actually think that's pretty cool. But I wouldn't. I think what I would do is
I don't think it's cool to get one of the most evil things in the history of mythology as your wedding ring. One
there's
ring
not
to
something
rule them
meta about
all.
that.
What's that?
There's not something beautifully meta about that. No, 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 fair enough, fair enough. I just
No, no, I'm
I
with you.
don't say that really as a value judgment on that, but I think I would do it with the silver chain that
Sure.
Frodo uses to wear it.
The only thing I would say against that is they sell so many of those replicas that no one would really notice that it was the one.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But
That's
but 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 I understand that. Is that okay? So that's your first. So what else do you have out there? What else is in your mind?
I would, and this is we're getting into ridiculous, right? But someone's paying $1 million for a piano,
Sure,
so
sure.
I would get the entire cave from the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've thought a lot about this, okay? Like, the boulder would be made of foam, the arrows would be Nerf. Tell me this wouldn't be the coolest, like, foyer in the history of the world.
And if you
Oh,
want,
oh,
and
you're
if
here
some,
for Thanksgiving dinner? Only if you can make it across the pit.
It's
right?
genius.
Right?
I think the only thing that would be if you needed if someone made you scale it down just to have the little golden idol that causes all the trouble
Yes.
would be.
Agreed.
And if you had it on a pedestal in your house,
Has to be. Has to be
you
on a
know,
pedestal. Yes.
or the Holy Grail, you know, and
Sure.
that's a fantastic answer, Andy. That is a fantastic
Thank
answer.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the popular answer, which is not my choice at all, but the one that I would actually get, and then people would think I was cooler than I am, and then I would make money off of it.
Nice.
The Dude's Rug from The Big Lebowski.
Awesome. I love
That's
it.
easy, but I don't actually. That's not actually my answer. That's not even anywhere. That's literally like the pandering answer. That's the answer.
You don't drink enough White Russians for that to like be the
We,
case.
my wife hadn't seen that movie until recently, and she'd heard about it and she'd seen bits of it. So I was like, "We need to watch that." And we watched it.
Sure.
And she's like, "What is he drinking?" And I was like, "White Russian." And she's like, "What's in that?" And I was like, "It's like milk or half and half, Kahlua and vodka." And she's like, "Can we try those?" I was like, "Honey, we're grown ass people. We can try those anytime you want." And now, those of you who don't know me, I had my first. I don't drink much. Let's put it that way. I am not. I went through all of high school and college without ever having a drop, and I'm not a big. That's not my thing.
Sure.
So I had a White Russian, which was the first time. So that was last year, and it was the first time I'd ever had vodka, ever in my life.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not. I didn't think they were great, but we had White Russians just to prove that we could, and it made my wife like. She was like, we participated in it. I guess.
Awesome. I love it.
But she dug it. She thought it was a tasty drink. My answer for you.
Please.
Anything from the 1989 Batman movie.
Awesome.
The Batmobile, or the bat suit, or just the symbol. And here's why. Batman was the first movie that I remember telling people was my favorite movie.
Nice. Okay.
Before that, because around that time was when I started getting into the idea of you have to have a favorite everything. Before that, I didn't really care. I got very obsessed for a good chunk of my life with, and I still am more obsessed than I'd like to be with having a favorite. I think it's a little obnoxious, to be honest with you. It's one of my least favorite characteristics of myself. But Batman was the first movie that I remember saying was my favorite, and it was the first movie where its iconography like stuck, like where it's symbols, it's iconography. That's the word. I said the word already.
Yes.
That it's iconography, that it's design, that it's aesthetic, like was significant to me, and so it's tied really, really closely to my to my understanding of to my love of movies.
I love that.
My abstract answer, which is not. Which is something I actually which doesn't exist, and I wish it existed.
Okay.
A lot of times in movies, you will see fake posters.
Okay.
And I would like to own them. I would like to own a Blame Canada poster from the South Park movie.
Nice.
I would like to own in Monsters Incorporated, there's a ton of Art Deco posters for Monster, whatever that is.
Yes.
It should be selling those. And when you go on the Monsters Inc. ride in California Adventure, in Disney California Adventure, they have all these awesome Art Deco Disney posters that you can't buy anywhere.
Well, that's weird. Disney's missing a marketing opportunity.
I started making lists of movies, I started making lists of and I lost the list, but I started making a list of posters and advertisements, fake ones from movies that I think they should start selling. In It's a Wonderful Life, there's that sign he sees in the soda fountain before he leaves, and it says something like "Dad's always right" or "Dad's watching" or something that. Things like that, I think.
The posters.
Huge market for that.
Real quick, the posters for Chris Evans' character in Scott Pilgrim. The Action Doctor. The good
advertisement for Battle of the Bands.
Yes.
I think this could be a huge market, but it has to be replicas from the actual movies.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot more that I've since forgotten. I literally was listing them at one point because I think it would be a cool business venture.
That is cool.
So that would be my biggest. It wouldn't be valuable.
Right.
It's just something I wish existed. I would paper my house and office in posters like that. I think that would be 20 times cooler than movie posters.
Agreed.
So So
Keith, I want you to, because we're forgetful people and we're not responsible at all. I want you to keep sending. Not only do I want you to keep sending us questions periodically, I want you to keep sending us this question because we could go back to this question
yeah,
over and over
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
Moving on. Question number 2.
Good question, Keith. Well done,
Yes,
you.
well done.
The piano from Casablanca, $1 million.
Which
That's amazing.
it's amazing, and it's also kind of amazing that I don't think that's crazy. Like,
Nah.
right.
I mean, listen, if you got the money, I guess. What?
That's
Why?
right.
Listen, why help a starving Haitian when you could buy a piano? That's the real question.
That's
The real
indeed.
question.
Indeed.
That you probably would never play.
Right, you wouldn't be allowed to because like the appraisal would plummet.
Right.
From an old friend of mine, John. Gents, we are
Thank
nothing if
you.
not couth.
Oh,
Yes,
he clearly doesn't know us anymore.
indeed. Gents, now that DVDs allow for full-length movie commentaries, do you watch them? If so, do you have any favorites? My clear winner is director Mark Lester's commentary for Commando. Why? Lester thinks, or he at least plays it that way, he's directed a film that should be discussed alongside the great films. Let off some steam, Bennett. When Lester isn't explaining how to achieve this grand feat of directing excellence, he's giving you, the viewer, extended pauses to enjoy the dialogue and to ponder his insights into the movie-making process. I list that because I've never watched the Commando DVD commentary, and I think that's amazing. Runner-up, cast commentaries for Lord of the Rings, because you can hear how much they enjoyed making those films. So, briefly, first question, do you watch DVD full-length movie commentaries?
Almost never.
That's my answer too. I find myself just wanting to watch the movie, right?
I think here's the thing. This is such a lame answer,
Hit me.
but it's what I think. If I had more time, if you and I lived in the same city,
Sure.
I feel like we would watch commentaries.
Fair.
Because I feel like you would come over and say, Phil, like, let's watch the commentary to ...
Yeah.
And I think the information on there is actually stuff we would like and care about.
It's true. To use his example, I mean, after the 5th time I came over and said, let's watch Fellowship of the Ring, one of us would probably say, do you want to watch a commentary this time?
Right.
And I can't imagine saying no to that. Right.
I think almost like the information that we generally get, and he mentioned something really healthy, like really cool, which is like the idea that it wasn't any set of information, but it was just the cast commentary because they liked each other, the warmth. But I think when it comes to just information, I'd rather just read a Wikipedia page and knock it all down while
That's
watching
fair.
an episode of Person of Interest or something
Nice.
like that. But I have watched them a couple times. Have
Please.
you? And what are your thoughts on that?
This is not one that I have watched. I have seen clips of it on YouTube, and it is widely recognized as one of the greatest things ever. It's another Schwarzenegger movie, the original Total Recall, because he is. I don't.
Can we just say Total Recall? Let's not even.
That's fair.
Pretend that there's a remake.
No, you can't. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. So yeah. He is so serious and he is so like into it and yet still so goofy and weird. It's amazing. Yeah. I wouldn't want to spoil it, but I can't because I've only seen clips. But watch it if you have that DVD in your collection. But actually, my favorite one that I have watched, there is a movie called Bubba Ho-Tep.
Yes.
Which stars the incomparable Bruce Campbell, so good, as Elvis.
Yes. And the incomparable Ossie Davis as
JFK.
John F. Kennedy.
Yes. The storyline is Elvis didn't die. He is sitting with cancer of the genitals in an East Texas rest home. Waiting to die. His best and only friend is a black man who thinks he's JFK. And
so no one believes him that he's Elvis, and no one believes the black dude that he's JFK.
Right. And they fight. Stay with us.
Oh my gosh.
They fight a mummy, a cowboy mummy, who sucks people's souls out of their rectums. Okay, now. All right, just put that on a skyhook. We'll come back to that later.
No, but can we just say one thing before we put that on a skyhook?
Yeah.
if that sounds terrible to you, it should. I promise you that not only is this a good movie, like in the sense that it's entertaining, like there's a part of me that's like, they made a movie out of that. Oh my gosh, I have to see that.
Right.
Here's what's really tricky about this movie. If you can even remotely accept this premise on any level,
Yes.
and if you can't, that's fine.
Right.
But if you can even remotely accept it on any level, it's actually a beautiful movie.
It actually is.
Like it's actually, and I mean beautiful in the sense that like
Yes.
it is a movie with soul.
Yes.
It is a movie with heart. It is a movie with meaning, and it's one of those things where it's like it almost dares you to be disgusted or annoyed by these certain things so that you can get out of having the genuine emotions this movie puts you through.
It is at its heart, it is sort of a beautiful meditation. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I mean it. It's a beautiful meditation on what it means to get older. And
I was just gonna say aging. Yes, I think 100%. I'm trying to think of a movie that meditates on aging and the loss that goes with aging and the grieving around that.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a better movie than that.
It's
like
tough.
it's like an R-rated twisted version of Cocoon in that sense.
Nice. I like that.
But it's much more imaginative.
Agreed. And getting back to the question.
So the commentary.
There are a couple of commentaries, but the one I am thinking of is Bruce Campbell watching the movie as Elvis. It is amazing. He spends the first
Does he really?
7 or 8 minutes like talking about the popcorn he's eating. It is spectacular. So that's my answer.
I have seen so few commentaries I can list them.
Nice.
I watched the Sleepy Hollow commentary, and I know, and Tim Burton was so bored doing it that I was like, okay, this was not helpful at all. I watched, I've mentioned this before on a previous mailbag, the only time I saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was with Tobe Hooper's commentary, and it was still the scariest thing I've ever seen. And I almost appreciate that he was talking the entire time because it kept me from dying. Like, from literally crawling out of my skin and falling apart on the floor and dying, and like people coming in and being like, oh, Phil died from television, which I think everybody who knows me thinks is going to happen eventually. Anyway.
Right.
But my answer is the only other commentary I've ever watched, and it is the most entertaining thing. It is just as entertaining as watching the movie.
Wow.
And they used, before DVDs, there was a collector's edition of The Usual Suspects that came with 2 video cassettes. 2 VHS video cassettes. Not cassettes, cassettes. And one of them was the letterboxed edition, which was nerdy enough for 1996 or 1997 when I got it.
Yes.
But the other video cassette was the letterboxed edition of the cassette, with commentary from Chris McQuarrie, who wrote it, and what's the guy's name who directed it?
Brian Singer, right?
Brian Singer. And
awesome.
They are having so much fun, and they talk about how zany that movie was, and you realize how ramshackle that movie is and how lucky they were that it happens to be brilliant.
Yes.
Because you will never think of Benicio del Toro the same again after you see that commentary. It is so special. I would recommend that highly, and I would watch that commentary tomorrow. It makes me want to seek out other commentaries.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Okay.
Usual Suspects commentary, phenomenal.
Nice. John, good question. Glad to have you on board. I think this is not the first question that we've answered of this young man. Anthony.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Mystery.
Anthony of the River?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, we've answered his questions before.
Fair enough. Mystery movie with the most unexpected ending. Then he gives us a list.
Okay.
I'm thinking along the lines of Lucky Number 11, The Usual Suspects, The Game, Assassination of a High School President, and then he says about Assassination of a High School President, please see this movie if you haven't, seriously. That is on my list. It is literally in my queue. I have not seen it.
My queue is entirely Mel Gibson movies right now.
Stunningly, well, the first chunk is certainly Mel Gibson, but then there's
how many DVDs do you get a month on Netflix?
Bang, 3.
I get one because
out at a time, or
I also get pay cable.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
which I may dump soon. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Sure. Phil and I were talking about this because
Throwing
we
it
actually,
around like we do.
yeah, because we do just so much prep for these. It's ridiculous. And Anthony, thank you for the question. We're modifying it for our purposes.
We are.
Because for two reasons. One, it's not that mystery isn't a genre. It certainly is, but mystery, frankly, the movies you have listed are not all of them traditional mysteries, right? So basically, we're just going with movies that have unexpected endings, which is not necessarily to say twist, but unexpected endings.
And I think the thing is, because here's the deal. One, the mystery genre is not a big genre anymore.
It's true. That's true.
Although I would say it is on television. And I think there's something problematic about the mystery genre, which is it does hinge on the finding out of the answer, the aha.
Yes.
And the obvious answers, I think Fight Club, The Game, and The Usual Suspects are great examples where once you know the answer, to me the movie, well, I think The Usual Suspects is actually an exception because it's so fun. But for me, like the second time I watched The Fight Club, for instance, I was like, the first time I was like, that was amazing, I can't believe that. And then the second time, about 20 minutes in, I was like, whatever, I know what's going to happen. Now I know I'm in the minority on that, but that was how I felt. And The Game I haven't watched since the first time I saw it, and it totally blew my mind. But I'm like, okay, right. For some reason it's like I'm like, no, I get it, so there's movies that hinge on that aha. Yeah. I think TV's better for that when it comes, because I like having, and it has to be a show that's like basically that's the whole point of House. That's the whole point of House. Yes. That's the whole point of Person of Interest. Of I need to have one episodic show in my queue in my life so that I can literally just be like, I know by the end of this episode this is going to wrap itself up, and the aha doesn't actually stay with me.
Totally.
So that's why there's a problem with the mystery genre for me. Now that being said, you and I both have answers, movies that had unexpected endings that mattered to us deeply.
Yes. Absolutely.
And I think that speaks that's when you and I get a little bit more artsy-fartsy, let's be honest, a little bit more existential about it.
Sure.
But where it delves into really mystery in the sense of like, wow, that was about something deeply human and I didn't see it going that direction.
Yes.
So what was that for you?
I have two answers, and the first one I want to just mention and then move right past because because even discussing it is a bit of a spoiler, and I don't want to dwell. The original, and again, I wish I didn't have to say the original because I didn't see the remake. I hear it is terrible. The original movie, Sleuth. There are very few people in this movie. And it is not. I don't want to say if there's a twist ending, and you shouldn't read that to mean that there is, and you shouldn't read that to mean. But the ending is unexpected, and it totally blew my mind. Not just because of the fact that it was unexpected, but because of the implications. And even though it might fall into that category of Fight Club or The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable or things like that, I am able to rewatch it because well, first off, the acting is phenomenal, and it is such an interesting and Agatha Christie twisty turny story, and it's wonderful.
And who are the two people in that?
Well, the two main actors are Sir Laurence Olivier, and Michael Caine, and they are. Didn't you
and our mutual friend almost do that in college at some point?
Yes. Okay. So the rest of the cast, although very small, is brilliant as well. But my other answer. So Phil, I'm going to take it. Let's go in the Wayback Machine. Okay.
Take me way back.
The first, wait for it, MTV film I saw.
I love you.
I know. Varsity Blues. Not my answer to this question.
I love you less.
The second MTV film that I saw is a movie that basically nobody saw called Better Luck Tomorrow.
Yeah, you're the only person who saw that.
It is, I'm telling you, and I am telling all of our listeners and viewers, it is the movie that MTV Films had absolutely no business making because it is so quality. You and I watch a lot of movies, right?
What?
Right? And I think I'm pretentious, but I don't think I'm as pretentious as I could be when I say it takes a lot to truly surprise us in terms of plot and character development, and like, wow, that really came out of left field, and yet it makes sense. I think that's a fair statement.
Yeah.
At no point past like the first 20 minutes of this movie did I have any idea what was going to happen next. It is about four straight A Asian American high school students. Because they get straight A's. Did you see this
Yes.
movie? Because they get straight A's, they can get away with anything, and because they're Asian American, and it goes into like, oh, the stereotype of Asians is they never do anything wrong.
Right.
They start by selling test answers.
Yeah.
And then they move into drugs.
Okay, don't tell anymore. I don't want to hear the rest.
No. That is 10% of the crazy stuff that happens in this movie.
All right.
But it all progresses, and when I say it's out of left field, that doesn't mean it's not founded in something. It's founded in character. And it was my favorite movie that came out that year. I don't remember when it was, but it was early 2000s. 2002,
2002.
Okay. It was.
I'm looking at it right now. 2002.
It is highest recommendation.
Yeah.
Fascinating movie. Wonderfully interesting and entertaining to watch. That's my answer. There you go.
That's a great answer. That's a really good. I'm really excited now to watch that movie.
You are so excited. I am excited for you.
A movie that I have not. I'm not sure I've talked about on this show yet.
Okay.
Or if I have, I've only mentioned it in passing. I've talked about you and I have talked about movies like Pulp Fiction and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars a lot, and those are very formative movies.
Yep.
On a personal level, the movie that I feel very personally very attached to, and that if someone said, "What's your favorite movie?" I say Pulp Fiction, but like the movies that don't get talked about among film classics. That my favorite movie is a Peter Weir movie with Jeff Bridges called Fearless, about a plane crash.
Yes.
I watched that movie, unlike other movies where it's like, oh, that's a good movie, we should watch that sometime. Movies like, so for instance, I would not go and grab Lord of the Rings and put it on. Okay. If I was with a group of people like you or someone and I said, you guys ready to do the Lord of the Rings marathon, and we do it, or same with Pulp Fiction, if I could show it to someone who had never seen it, I would do it.
Yeah.
Fearless, I watch on my own every couple of years just to remind myself. It is personal to me the way that the J.D. Salinger book Franny and Zoe is personal to me. It is personal to me, like in the sense that like it is devotional. It is something spiritual to me. And the end of that movie shocks me every time. The first time though was a legitimate like, oh my God, that's where because I couldn't figure out legitimately where could this go.
Right.
And the first time when it ended, I was like so shocked that I don't think I even understood. And it's not shocking, really. That's what's funny now that I thought about it.
Yeah.
Shocking like whodunit. It's not like that at all.
Right.
It's just, where can they go with this character who survives a plane crash and then basically decides he's invincible? How do you end that movie? And the way they choose to end it, at first I just thought it was interesting. Now I find it so deeply satisfying that I think about it all the time.
Phil, I love this answer, Phil. I love your answer, and let me tell you why. Because, and I mean, you said it, because it's not, boo, like, oh my God, he was dead the whole time. Oh my God, he's the same. It's not. It is a shocking ending without being a surprise, if that makes sense. It's not. There's no twist. But. And I also love the answer because you introduced me to this movie, and I almost find it difficult to talk about. It's so beautiful. It is such a and I would use the same words you did. Devotional. It's
a meditation on fear and life and invincibility and I mean it's. To me, it's the most non-religious. Like it's non-religious, but it's so divine. It is
right, and it works on so many other. Like it's about trust in relationships and responsibilities you have in relationships, and yet And the reason that I'm okay sort of taking this digression is because this ending, and I would never dream of giving it away, although again it's not a twist. Everything we've just said gets wrapped up into what at first glance is the simplest is the simplest little thing. And I have a story for you. I don't think I've ever told you this. I bought it soon after you and I watched it. And um and I never lend DVDs. It's bad news. People never return them, and I'm like, the second I give it away, I'm like, oh, I really want to watch that, and like I don't do it. And I make myself not a bad person by saying, but if you want to watch this movie at 3 a.m, you come over and I'll watch it with you. But I lent this movie to a friend of mine, a girl I was working with at a restaurant in New York, and she gave it back to me like a week later.
Were you a little interested in her?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, continue.
No, she was not interested in me.
Oh.
And I know this
made me so terribly interested in her. Oh, you're not interested in me?
Phil, not interested in our gender.
Oh, so, fair enough. Yeah, I can handle that. That doesn't hurt my feelings.
Sure. Okay. So she gave it back to me like a week later, and she was like, "It was okay. That was interesting." I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, I don't know how you have that response. She goes, I didn't watch the last chapter of the movie, like the last chapter. And I was like, please take it back. Take it. Watch the last 5 minutes. And I was like, and she was like, no, I'm good. I was like, you have missed. Like not only have you missed a wonderful scene, you've missed the point of the movie. That'd
be like if I was like, hey, do me a favor and read this book. It's called The Gospel According to Luke. And then you'd be like, yeah, that was pretty good. I didn't finish. I mean, I read Jesus dies and then I stopped reading.
Right. That's right.
What?
Right. Downer ends with his death. Are you kidding? Yes.
Anyways.
Yes. I was stunned. Guys, watch Better Luck Tomorrow.
Can I just say three things about Fearless?
Yeah.
Can I say three things about Fearless that have nothing to do with the question?
Yes.
One, if I ever met Jeff Bridges, I would shake his hand and I would just say thank you for Fearless.
Yes.
I love him in many things, but that movie means so much to me.
Yep.
Two, one of my favorite lines in any movie ever and not in one of those like, isn't it, whatever, like the way you and I talk about quoting movies.
Right.
He's talking to this psychologist about this woman who's also a survivor of the crash, and she's very deeply, devoutly religious, and Jeff Bridges' character isn't. And the therapist talks about her being Catholic, and he says, she's just filled with guilt and shame, very old world stuff. And Jeff Bridges says, I'm filled with guilt and shame. What's so old world about that? And he just says it straight, not like a joke, not like he just says, I'm filled with guilt and shame. What's so old world about that? Oh. And it fills my heart every time that I hear that line. And then the third thing I would say is during the plane crash sequences and then during the climax of the film, they use a piece of music that everyone should own. It's the Third Symphony by a gentleman by the name of Heinrich Gorecki. Heinrich Gorecki. And I listen to that when I go on the plane now because that's the kind of freak that I am. I listen to the plane crash symphony.
Awesome.
I tempt fate like nobody's business.
I don't know what to say to that.
I'm a twisted human being.
Nice.
Twisted and evil, more machine than man, really.
From a
Do we have a third question?
That was our third question. Anthony, I'm sorry we didn't directly answer your question, but I'm not that sorry.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, me too. Guys, this has been another Second Breakfast Viewer Mailbag. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. We've had a blast doing it.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
We're really amazing. Let's just pat ourselves on the back. For the next 10 minutes, Andy and I will just pat ourselves on the back.
Yes, but we won't make you watch all of that, just about 7.5 minutes of it.
I've missed this, though.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We've been away for a week, and it's tough.
I missed, as David Keckner says, I've missed your musk.
Maybe you should just go ahead and stop talking for a while.
That really got out of hand.
That really is. My brother and his wife watched that movie yesterday, and he said to me today that she'd only seen bits of it.
Oh.
And that she was like, oh, that movie's dumb. And then they sat down and watched the entire thing from beginning to end, and she was like, okay, that was amazing.
There we go.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
So
that is the thing. So, see Sleuth, Better Luck Tomorrow, definitely see Fearless.
oof.
See Bubba Ho-Tep.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. I'm
and get
so
ready
we really
for
do.
what'd you say?
I can't believe we did 3 questions. I don't remember them. I remember two. Did I miss one?
No, no, we did them.
Okay, good.
Uh,
I black out for large portions of this podcast.
Guys, we got to go because I got to wave some smelling salts underneath Phil's nose. Have a lovely weekend. We'll see you with the
Yeah.
full complement of Second Breakfast next week. Share us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, a whole bunch of ways to get involved.
Yeah.
And we love having you involved because getting you involved gives us mailbags like this. So have a great weekend, everybody.
Send us questions. Send
Yeah,
us questions.
always. Secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. I'm Andy Roth. That's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.
Stay classy, San Diego.